the social pariah turned messiah. I am the misfit that doesn't know when to quit. I am the man without a plan. And in case you haven't heard, I always, and I mean always, have the last word. Hello everybody. It's me, it's Alan V with Chocobo Chokeslam, here to do the Last Word Wrestling Podcast. We're going to do a review here of the atrocity that was Extreme Rules. Holy shit, that was bad. Or to quote Yevtal and Taliesin, it was a shit show. But yeah, wow. Don't get me wrong, it just ended. The main event was amazing. I absolutely loved the main event. I loved the stupid false finish and then just the heel finish to win. It was great. If they ended on the draw, so you know what? We'll go out of order a little since it's fresh on my mind. Let me talk about the main event here. We had a 30-minute Iron Man match between Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler with Drew McIntyre ringside because Drew McIntyre won on Monday Night Raw. And keeping in line with this past Monday, the Go Home show being the worst rated Raw in the history of the program, this was not a good pay-per-view overall, but the main event was good. So, 30-minute Iron Man match. What the hell is a 30-minute Iron Man match? Why is it not an hour like every other one? I don't know. And of course, as they all do, it went to sudden death, so what's the point of the time limit? Just go longer and have it be a normal finish. But, let's talk about this match, because holy crap. Alright, so for the Iron Man match, Seth got 2 quick pinfalls within the first 8 to 10 minutes. McIntyre comes in and just assaults Seth. Knocks him around, beats him up. The referee does a DQ, giving Seth a third pinfall. So at this point, it's a 3-0 lead for Seth Rollins. I'm looking going, yeah, we're not even like 12 minutes into the match. This is going to be shit like the rest of the show. And nope. Drew McIntyre tosses Seth out of the ring. Beats the hell out of Seth some more. He basically puts Seth in like a bear hug maneuver. Slams his ribcage into the ring apron. Walks over, slams his ribcage into the barricade. It goes back and forth for a couple, about a minute or so here, and then eventually throws Seth back into the ring. The ref, he gets back in the ring. The ref tosses McIntyre. Don't know why it wasn't just another DQ, because this would have made more sense, but it also would have screwed with the finish, so hey. So, McIntyre's gone. Now, Ziggler basically takes advantage of this, gets a quick 2 pins within a minute, then gets a couple minutes later, gets a third one to tie it, and then he eventually takes a 4-3 lead. This, again, was a good match at this point in the night, being the last match of the show, being the main event, even though it wasn't for the main title. But this was definitely a main event worthy match, so at least it wasn't an awful Samoa Joe Roman Reigns match or an awful Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar match. So hey, we got something good here. But basically, the crowd was out of it. They were burnt out. What was funny was they were chanting for the clock more than the match. The crowd did give the match feedback. They were at least into it. It's just you can tell they were tired at this point. And it wasn't a good pay-per-view, as I've said repeatedly already. And we'll get to why it wasn't good as I loop back around to the top of the show. So the crowd was doing the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 down to 1 chant every minute. So Kevin Dunn, or one of the people there, decided to pull the timer. About under 10 minutes were left, the timer showed back up, and you got everybody in the crowd breaking out into a yes chant. The clock got more action, more support than the match at one point. Because the WWE had a dick with the crowd instead of just rolling with it. A noisy crowd giving feedback is always better than a quiet crowd during a heated moment. But, so going back to the match, it's 4-3 Ziggler with about 3 minutes left. Seth hits another curb stomp and gets a pin. We're tied at 4. And then at the end here, actually, I'm sorry, he curb stomped at the end of the match. It was a Falcon Arrow thing to tie the match at 4. But he gets a curb stomp with 8 seconds left, falls down, rolls away from Dolph for some stupid reason. Finally crawls over to Dolph with about 2 seconds left, goes to pin him, timer runs out. For the first time ever in the history of wrestling, suddenly we're going to say that when it's a tie, the champion retains. It's going to be a draw. Dolph's music hits. Dolph's out of the ring celebrating, on his knees with the belt, all, on the runway there, all happy, and Kurt Angle's music hits. Because I'm like, okay, never ever have these matches ended in a draw. Kurt comes out and does the whole spiel of this isn't ending this way, get back in the ring, we're going to have sudden death, blah, blah, blah. And so the ref comes running out, Dolph's pouting, doing his thing, Seth's all pumped up, I'm going to win now. And the match starts. As soon as the bell rings again, Drew McIntyre shows back up on the ring apron. Seth does a running knee, knocks McIntyre off the apron. While he's doing that, Dolph runs in, gets behind Seth and hits him with a zigzag and pins him to win. I laughed so damn hard that they did the trope of the heel thinking they cheated a win out to screw over the champion. Champion screw over the face to retain the championship. And then it gets turned up on him, but instead it went the other way, where the heel still managed to win. I thought it was hilarious. It was such a stupid thing, but it was a great finish. I like Seth, but I don't want him as champ. But he's better than the Intercontinental Championship, and I think that should be there to showcase other guys. But obviously this isn't done. I honestly thought this was the main event because they were going to bring back Ambrose, who I believe is medically cleared. I'm assuming they're going to do that at SummerSlam. So that was your main event. It just ended. Right now they have the post pay-per-view talk show going on. But we're going to swing back around to the start of this entire shit show and go over exactly what went wrong here. Before I get into that, I didn't do a formal review of Money in the Bank. I did my pre-show. I watched a little bit of Money in the Bank, but it was right around finals and all that stuff for some of my summer classes. So I got a little busy. By the time I circled back to it to go rewatch it, it was a couple weeks later, and I was like, you know what, there's no point. I will say, comparing what I've seen and the overall results of the two pay-per-views, Money in the Bank was a much better pay-per-view. Both Money in the Bank matches were great. I said I wanted to film a segment of me cooking paper and eating it, but I figured no, because I don't want to burn my house down. I said there would be no way in God's green earth they would give Alexa Bliss the Money in the Bank. There was no reason for it. And for some reason they did that, and she cashed in and won. I thought Rusev was going to win and cash in, and no. But I was happy, and still happy, that Braun Strowman won the Money in the Bank. So overall, that was a better pay-per-view. As I said at the start of this, Raw had its worst ratings ever in the history of the show. And the show's been running since the 90s. So we're at least, 25, almost 30 years now? Its worst rated show was this past Monday. And if I'm going to be honest, for most part, both Raw and SmackDown have been completely unwatchable for the last month and a half to 2 months. And again, I said that after Mania. I didn't want to come in as being a smark and shitting on everything all the time, but I'm not. I genuinely enjoyed even some of the bad matches tonight. They were funny. Like, the main event, I enjoyed the stupid finish. I thought it was hilarious. It was a nice flip the script on the trope. But they got to do something with Brock Lesnar. And in fact, in the pre-show, they had Kurt Angle give a spiel on, I guess, tomorrow night on Raw. So watch Raw tomorrow. There's an ultimatum out to Brock that he needs to show up and accept a challenge, or they're going to pull the belt. When Kurt said they were going to pull the belt off of Brock, the entire arena erupted. WWE has a problem here. And the solution isn't pushing Roman, which we're going to get to because, yay, they did something different. I think they're slowly learning, especially now that they have this $1 billion+ deal with Fox, which means the product has to improve, because you're not spending over $1 billion and getting garbage. So if nothing else, SmackDown's going to improve, and by proxy, Raw needs to improve. But I think the whole who they had as champ and the trying to get Roman over so hard and failing is really blowing up in their face. But the actual pre-show for the pay-per-view, there was one match. It was the New Day versus Sanity. And holy crap, when the hell did Sanity finally show up on TV? Right after the not brand split, but when they do the early draft deal, Sanity was drafted to SmackDown, but you never saw hide nor hair from them. There was some hype packages, some promos, nothing. All of a sudden, they're there. I didn't catch SmackDown the last 2 weeks, so I'm assuming this was a slow build. I can see why this was on the pre-show. The match was good. I have no complaints on the match. I wasn't invested in there being this rivalry because it felt too new. But I felt like this was the beginning of the rivalry, and these two teams are perfect foils. You have the goofy clowns with the New Day, who are great, and you have the serious, intense, crazy guys in Sanity. The two groups of three are perfect foils for each other, and I hope they keep this rivalry going as a focal point for a bit, and then even as they move on to do other things, that this rivalry stays there, that they're always going to butt heads when they have the opportunity. But this match, again, good pacing. 1 point Kofi hit the Trouble in Paradise. The match ended as Alexander Wolf was holding Kofi on the ring apron, on the outside. And I believe it was Eric Young. I can catch which one it was. He dove off the top rope to the outside, and this was a tables match. And he did a, you want to call it a reverse bulldog or a sling blade, whatever you want to call it, but he basically jumped, hooked the arm around the neck, and they both slammed him through a table to get the win. It was a good match. Definitely a pre-show match. Definitely didn't have the kind of build behind it to be a really part of the main pay-per-view. But what the hell happened where the New Day are pre-show? But again, I enjoyed it. I want more. And that's the first thing I said. I posted it on Twitter. I posted it on my notes here. I want more between these two. This needs to keep building. This really needs to keep building. This could be a fun feud. And then my one comment on the pre-show, and again, the announcers, I'm going to mention right now, the announcing was not the commentary. Sucked for a lot of the show. It wasn't as bad as some of the older pay-per-views. I didn't have Corey Graves screaming at Byron Saxton constantly, which made my life easier because I couldn't stand them together. But I'm not a fan of the coach. Go back to ESPN, please. And again, it's not all their fault. It's the crappy lines and dialogue that they're given. Even during the main event at the end, Corey Graves, because what led to towards the finish there was Dolph tried to leave, and then it was tied at 4, what led to the curb stomp that almost cost him the match was Dolph tried to leave, and then Corey Graves makes the comment, and well, if Dolph figures I could just leave and I'll retain the title. Countouts are part of an Iron Man match, so I'm like, do they not know, anybody know their own rules to their own matches? The commentary just sucks at times. And tonight was no exception. Now, I am not cultaholic. I am not, even though I look like his American cousin, I am not Ross. So I will let them do the "you've made a grave mistake, Corey." I honestly recommend checking it out. I laugh every time they do it. Because it wasn't just him, but damn, there was quite a few moments. But we had the announcers all throughout the pre-show, and now I keep repeating, while hyping the Bobby Lashley-Roman Reigns match to how Roman is the guy. Here's the thing, your ratings say otherwise. Your worst ratings in the history of your show at the Go Home show say pretty much that to the audience, to the viewers at home, Roman Reigns is not the guy. But we're going to get to that. So, that was your pre-show. One match, pretty straightforward. It was good. Then the main show started, and then, which means the shit show, just the festival, the cavalcade of god-awfulness graced his presence. The opening match was the Raw Tag Team title match, and I'll just get straight to the point. Who in the blue hell thought it was a good idea to put the titles on the B team? Why? And it was a running thing throughout the night on the pay-per-view and on the WWE Network on their Twitter feed and YouTube. And they're on right now on the post Extreme Rules talk show. Celebrating, partying, making a scene. Why the hell is the tag team titles on the B team? You didn't give the Revival a chance. You didn't give the freaking Club a chance. What the hell? Now, cool. I like seeing fresh faces. But the B team, especially against a hot Matt Hardy, Woken Matt Hardy, and Woken Bray. What the what is wrong with you? Now, the only thing I can think of is if you check the news at all, the dirt sheets, even just regular news because it was on the news, Bray was in a pretty nasty car wreck a couple of weeks ago. So my only thought is maybe he needs to take some time off to properly heal, because he was in the match, but he wasn't heavily in the match. This was a short match too. So I'm thinking maybe they drop the titles for a few weeks for however long Bray can rest and heal up, and then they take the titles back or do something, because I don't know what the hell they're thinking. But let's get into the match. Again, it wasn't believable to me that the B team was going to win, and then they won. The build-up to this match was great, because I thought Money in the Bank was when they were going to have that match, and I was completely wrong. I even said that in my prediction show. I haven't seen it announced, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a match. That following night on Raw, after there was no match, both of them dressed up as the other characters. So Bo dressed as Bray, and then Curtis Axel dressed as Matt Hardy, and they made fun of them, and it was great. I give the guys credit. They're having fun with the gimmick. But the finish came down to Matt and Bray were going to do their double team finisher, because tag team matches, the tag team has to do their finish, and they had Curtis Axel ready to do their thing, which is I still think they're doing that stupid wheelbarrow twist of fate thing that I hate. It just doesn't look any more powerful than a regular twist of fate. But before they can do anything, Bo Dallas climbs up on the ropes, so Bray runs over to knock Bo Dallas off the ropes, and then Curtis Axel shoves Matt into Bray, knocks Bray out of the ring. Matt gets stunned, and then Curtis Axel does a swinging neck breaker off the top rope above the apron, not from the turnbuckle, and then gets the pin. I don't understand this at all. The match was okay. It had a few nice spots. It wasn't anything spectacular. And throughout the night, they were celebrating backstage. I think the funniest one to me is when they were doing, it was right before Roman's match. The Roman's just walking in the hallway, and then the two of them are celebrating, and they look at Roman and go, "If you win tonight, you could be part of the B team." That was funny to me, because I'm just like, no. And, no. And after they won, they're down by the entrance to the ramp, and they're celebrating, and they're trying to get a B team chant going, and the crowd just won't do it. The crowd's, nope, they're dead. So, this isn't over. I don't think it's going to be over. Fashion Police got over because everybody they love the gimmick. And kudos to Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, because they've been handed such garbage to work with, kind of like Fashion Police. But not the Fashion Police, because that's at least somewhat charming. But, damn, why? Why was this the finish? This was stupid. What the... Again, you don't... Well, if there's a pain, I believe her on Raw. You could call up Heavy Machinery, anybody from NXT, or you could have used the frickin' Revival, or the frickin' Club, or even Slater and Rhino. For the love of God, you can't put the belts on the B team. Fine, WWE, this is at least something different. But let's see how the shit show continued. And again, the first 4 matches were absolute ass, and then it got a little bit better for a bit. And then kind of got assy again. So the second match was Constable Baron Corbin, or as I typed it in my notes, Crobin, because I wasn't paying attention, versus Finn Balor. I didn't care about this match, to be honest. It just felt forced that this was just a feud to give them something to do, which obviously most feuds are that, but there's good ways to write them in the story, and then there's just shoehorned ways, which is what this one was. It was a good match. It just had a finish that really just was stupid. But I like Constable Corbin. I like Baron Corbin bald with the shaved head. He looks much more slick and threatening than grungy hippie Baron Corbin. Corbin looked really good. Both these guys have good chemistry together. They countered each other a lot. Every time Corbin got thrown into the corner, he would slide out of the ring, run around, and run back in. Where the bullshit came in, and this one I can give a pass to because I at least saw the point of it. Balor countered an end of days into a roll up to get a pin and win, so it was a really cheap win. Now, this doesn't help Balor out at all, but it's a big win for him. And Baron didn't get beat down or get manhandled, so Baron looks strong. The problem here is we know what Finn can do. He was your first ever Universal Champion. Or as they kept saying, many years ago. No, it was like a year ago, guys. A year and a half ago. You didn't have the Universal title for that long. Maybe 2 years tops. Let's stop pretending like it's ancient history that Finn Balor freaking won the Universal title. But we know what he can do. And this did no justice to either character. It was a stupid finish. But overall, it was a good match. I had no interest going into it, and it was a good match, so I was surprised. Pleasantly surprised. But a lot of people, and you'll see it on other reviews, if you check out other podcasts, I'm sure they'll have some feedback on this. That finish was garbage. It should have been a better finish. You could have allowed one of them to get a curb stomp. If you wanted to go with the no finish, have it end in a disqualification. Not a cheap roll-up pin that makes the freaking face look weak in the... Doesn't really... I mean, it doesn't hurt Baron, which is good, because the position he's in right now in Raw, he needs to be strong. But, could you toss Finn a bone? Please? Now, okay, let's just get to it. Asuka versus Carmella for the SmackDown Women's title with James Ellsworth hanging from a shark cage a whopping 10 feet above the ring. This had to be hands down. Actually, this would be the worst match of the night, because I'm even going to give it a leg up to probably what was the worst match of the night, just because the end result, at least, was better. WWE, what are you doing to Asuka? You are awful at booking and using your own talent. You suck at your core job as a wrestling promoter. She was undefeated, unstoppable, amazing. Brought the women's division in NXT to the limelight. And you treat her like hot freaking garbage. Garbage dipped in hot liquid shit on the main roster. And pardon my French. Stop it. Stop making her look bad. Stop booking poorly. You're too big of a company to book like some rinky-dink regional promoter. In fact, I attend regional shows where they book better. This was stupid. So, as expected, Ellsworth tries to escape from the shark cage, kind of like Enzo Amore a year ago. God, remember when he was still employed? And not a wannabe rapper? God, that rap is awful. And again, I'm not even saying that, like, I'm not a big rap fan, but I can at least acknowledge good rap music. That's not good rap music. But, so, there's a spot where, in this match, where Ellsworth tries to escape. He's dangling by his leg from the corner of the cage. And so they're trying to lower the cage, do whatever. Asuka kicks the crew out of the way and just starts kicking Ellsworth in the ass, which was hilarious. So Carmella comes up from behind, I think pushes Asuka its head into the cage, rolls her up and pins her. So Carmella wins again. Asuka pulls a Shinsuke-ish type of thing where she beats the hell out of Ellsworth, which was great. I honestly, at this point, just want to see her and Ellsworth have a cage match or something where she just beats the living hell out of him. But she beats the hell out of the ring crew trying to help Ellsworth and everything else. And then she storms out. She's frustrated. They're making her look horrible. It sucked. Why is she not the champion? Why you know use talent? Good God, WWE. Oh, and then what was probably the worst match of the night, although I like the end result, so I put the Carmella and Asuka match as the worst match of the night. Next match was for the U.S. title, which was Jeff Hardy versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Or as I call, what the hell just happened? I got up to go clean my glasses, came back into the check, and the match was over. So what happened here was they both came down. Shinsuke low blow Jeff Jarrett. Sorry, don't mind me. They're doing one of their post pay-per-view specials, and it's on Jeff Jarrett, so that's on my TV right now. But Shinsuke low blows Jeff Hardy, to get the right person. And then, because the ref didn't see it, so as soon as the ref starts the match, Kinshasa pin, match over. I am happy that Shinsuke has a belt. They're doing something with him. But this was utter bullshit. This was dumb. Why was this? What purpose did this serve? And then as Shinsuke's celebrating and Jeff's, of course, clutching his face and his balls, Randy Orton's music hits. And it's, oh yay, Randy Orton, because instead of coming out and attacking Shinsuke, he comes out and wails on Jeff Hardy. Don't know why. No follow-up on it. And then, of course, they announced that they're having a rematch Tuesday night on SmackDown between Jeff Hardy and Shinsuke, which means Shinsuke is going to retain because now we're going to have a feud between Randy Orton and Jeff for whatever reason. So tune in Tuesday. We'll find out why. But this, on paper, or at least, on paper, was the worst match of the night because it wasn't a match. But this had an end result which was enjoyable, which was Shinsuke winning and newer talent being promoted versus the Carmella and Asuka match where it was just a giant shit show. So, out of the first 4 matches, Corbin and Balor was actually a decent match with a shit show finish. The Raw Tag Team title match made no sense with the finish. Carmella and Asuka had a bad finish. And the 4th match just was no match. I'm happy Shinsuke is the U.S. champ. Do something with it. Push the guy. Because, damn, you need something. Alright. And then we had, honestly, the first and probably the best, second best match. I'm going to give best match of the night to the main event. You can hate on me all you want if you disagree. I have to give the main event props because it was executed well. But from a fun standpoint, this was probably the best match of the night. And this was Kevin Owens versus Braun Strowman. And why this was the best match, to me at least, second best match of the night, but my personal favorite match. Let's go with that. My favorite match of the night, but second best overall match of the night. The story here was amazing. The build-up over the last few weeks on Raw, where Braun's just freaking kicking the crap out of Kevin, and Kevin running, scared out of his mind, trying to hide. The one where he tapes him in the porta potty and then basically spares the clearly empty porta potty off the entrance ramp. Braun's talking smack to Kevin, fight me, and it's awesome because Kevin finally snaps and actually starts fighting. And the match worked really well because Braun basically goes to plow through Kevin. Kevin ducks and Braun just eats the freaking cage. Is dazed and Kevin is able to take advantage of this. He knocks, Braun bounces off the cage, falls down, rolls over to the corner. Kevin does his little running cannonball, and then he does the frog splash. Braun 1 count kicks out. Kevin got offense in. Eventually, Braun looked good. Kevin got to look good. Braun can sell. He is the most over guy. He's the best damn thing on Raw right now, and if not the entire WWE. He should be the champion, which obviously he won Money in the Bank, which means sooner or later they're going to pull the trigger there. But at one point in the match, Kevin handcuffs Braun's basically like his hand stuck around his wrist and the other one around the rope in the corner. Braun manages to chokeslam Kevin. Kevin gets away from him. He's in the other side of the ring. Finally has enough and just goes, you know what? Suck it. DX style, and tries to climb out of the ring. Braun breaks the handcuff, climbs up to the top of the cage, grabs Kevin, and basically chokeslams him off the top. And this isn't a Hell in a Cell cage, which I think are usually a little bit shorter. This is a regular, like, climb out or crawl through the doorway cage. So this is the taller one. He chokeslams Kevin off of the cage through the announce table on the outside. Braun loses the match. No one cares. Literally, the announcer just goes, I think he killed Kevin Owens. The crowd is popping, going nuts, chanting, this is awesome. Just going crazy for Braun. The stretcher comes out. They stretch Kevin out. Braun's, chair, and he's happy. Kevin got to, look good because he actually fought. Braun can do no wrong right now. Even losing, he was over more. Right now, if I have to pick the top 4 things over in WWE, it's Braun Strowman, Beach Ball, Beat the Traffic chants, and Daniel Bryan. Those are your 4 most over things in WWE right now. This was a fun match. Again, my favorite match of the night, but I'm also a little biased because I'm absolutely a fanboy for Braun. I will say, though, that the main event was the better match. My favorite and I think the most fun was definitely Braun versus Kevin. And then after that, we had the SmackDown Tag Team titles. During the pre-show, you see a backstage segment where the Bludgeon Brothers are beating the hell out of Daniel and Kane, where one of them, I think it was Rowan, takes the sledgehammer and keeps wails on Kane's leg. And they goofed up a little bit here because you can clearly hear it. It's a rubber mallet. Now, whoever built them or crafted these things did a really good job making them look metallic. Just for somebody who likes to I'm not a cosplayer. Like, I don't have the effort or the energy or the time right now to devote to that. But I appreciate well-crafted items. You can make a prop out of foam and plastic tubing and do it right. It looks like a wood handle and metal, which is basically what they did with these hammers. And they look really nice, but you can hear the foam mallet when they hit the leg. So I was like, yeah, you screwed up a little. But it's going to happen. I mean, obviously I'm glad they're not actually beating on Kane's leg with a real sledgehammer. So they beat the hell out of the two of them. So all night they're like, well, this match is questionable. The match starts. The only one that comes out is Daniel Bryan. He holds his own, but the numbers game eventually catches up with him. Kane's music hits. Kane comes limping out with the boot, on his foot. It was kind of funny. And they do good for a little bit. Kane chokeslams each one of them. Harper eventually, he's kind of gets up and quickly kicks Kane's good leg. Kane goes down. And they get the win. The Bludgeon Brothers retain. It wasn't a bad match. It wasn't great. It served as a filler match, which is clearly what it was. And I'm hoping this does lead into potentially a SummerSlam rematch, or alternately, there's other tag teams that deserve a chance on SmackDown. That maybe after we get to later on, that we can have a Styles and Daniel Bryan promo. But we'll see. So, next match was Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley. This was weird. Let me try to do this nicely. The pacing for this match was some of the worst I've ever seen. But at the same time, this match had some incredibly awesome spots. They just didn't know how to pace it. There wasn't a lot of great technical wrestling. They just kind of wailed on each other. I got to see a bit of from Lashley that impressed me. He can do a really nice suplex. But of course, a lot of it was the slow wobbling, waiting for Roman to get up and do his stupid punch and spare. But commentary was ludicrous throughout this match. There was a point where I don't know what Roman was trying to do with Lashley, but I think he was trying to get him in to do a Samoan drop. But Lashley had, Roman had him over his shoulders, but Lashley grabbed onto the ropes. So Roman finally just flung Lashley over the ropes to the outside. And he clears the ring apron and everything by a good 8 feet. Lashley got airtime doing this. This was done correctly to avoid injury. So there's Michael Cole. Oh, I couldn't see it from here, but I think Lashley might have hit his neck on the ring apron. So they show the replay. Not even close. Like, so stupidly far apart that the commentary was idiotic. So it's just like, alright, I'm going to ignore the commentary throughout this match. Roman hit a couple Superman punches throughout the match. And a lot of this was the slow pacing because you got to stand around and let Roman do his thing. And these two did not have good chemistry together. It wasn't a bad match. This just wasn't a great match either. I think Roman went to do another Superman punch, and Lashley laid him out with a spare and pinned Roman for the win. So, hey, Roman lost. Now, we all complain about them shoving Roman down our throats. This wasn't the main event, and for like the third or fourth no, he did beat Samoa Joe. But Roman lost again. So that's like the third time this year Roman's lost in this pay-per-view match. And for a change, the WWE learned and didn't put Roman on as the main event. Because you know damn well the crowd would have booed this and left. Again, okay match. Pacing was god-awful, but there were some really good spots. If you're going to go back and rewatch this pay-per-view, if you didn't get a chance to watch it yet, and you're seeing this first, I would encourage watching the match. It's just, be forewarned, there's going to be spots where you're going to be like, what the hell are they doing? It just drags and feels slow at times. But not every match, even the best of competitors, not every match is going to be their best. Which is what we got out of Alexa and Nia next, and as well as AJ and Rusev. So moving on, Alexa versus Nia. I didn't agree with Alexa winning the Money in the Bank, but here we are. This was sloppy. It's the only way I can really describe this match. On the whole, it was sloppy. Things didn't feel like they flowed quite right, and it was a bit botchy. But Nia historically is botchy, because I think certain aspects of pull-off moves require speed that I don't think she possesses. And don't get me wrong, I know I'm a fat ass and I can't run, so it's not a critical thing like that. There was a spot where Alexa puts a chair in the corner, and you know it's coming into play later because it happens every single time. And Nia went to do some kind of move where she was going to run and roll into the corner to hit Alexa. Alexa moved early. I'm going to say early because otherwise Nia was just slow. She moved in plenty of time where Nia can clearly see the chair, but still does her little rolly thing and hits her face into the chair. It looked like a huge botch. I don't think it was meant to be a botch. It was a botch necessarily. It just looked sloppy. In the beginning of the match, Nia and Mickie James are... not Nia. Nia was outside too, but Alexa and Mickie James were outside the ring. And they were grabbing weapons, chairs, kendo sticks, whatever. Nia breaks the first pair of kendo sticks. Alexa grabs a chair. Nia takes a chair out of Alexa's hand, throws it in the ring, grabs a garbage can, does the same thing, grabs a garbage can lid, does the same thing. It looked really awkward. Like they didn't know what the hell to do with themselves while they're outside the ring. There was an awesome spot, though, where Nia basically power slams, pick up and slam down Alexa onto a garbage can, which was cool. Eventually, the two ladies gang up on Nia, and actually, I think it was Natalya when they finally ganged up on outside the ring, because Natalya came out to keep an eye on Nia. Nia was out for a minute, and then they ganged up on Natalya, and of course, Ronda Rousey's ringside. She comes in. Even her spot, she was fine, but that whole sequence seemed sloppy. It was basically like Mickie James wasn't sure what to do. Like she was trying to throw her into a barricade, didn't quite know what barricade to go to. This whole thing felt like they didn't rehearse enough, and at least in my opinion. You may watch this match and think it was fine. It just... I've seen all four of these ladies compete much better. This was sloppy. Nia wins by basically they gang up on not Nia. Alexa wins. Don't want to keep calling Alexa Nia. But Mickie James and Alexa gang up on Nia with chair shots, and then Alexa does a DDT onto a chair and pins Nia Jax. So hopefully we get a Ronda versus Alexa, because I'm looking more forward to that. But again, sloppy match. Wasn't horrible, just not the best I've seen out of any of them. Just felt really all over the place at times. But this whole show has been like that. Next, which technically is the last match, because the one after it was the title match, which I already covered. So, the second to last match, which should have been your main event because it was for the primary title on the show. AJ Styles and Rusev. So no Rusev Day. Unfortunately. A lot of us were rooting for Rusev. We were hoping for something interesting. The dead giveaway to me was that there was no title change here. It was the fact that this wasn't the last match. Which makes sense that they wanted to give more time to Rollins and Ziggler, but this match didn't seem right to me. It was booked way too one-sided. AJ looked way too strong. Rusev did not look dominating at all. You know, like traditionally in a match, somebody starts the beginning by being dominant. So let's say the face is doing really dominant to start the match, then the heel does something to, you know, even the odds, and they go on a dominant tear, and then whoever's going to win typically at the end mounts their comeback and then wins. There was none of that in this match. It was basically just AJ being dominant and countering, and Rusev getting a few licks in here and there and not being able to put it away. I didn't understand really what they were going for here. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't good. It just maybe, and I'm not mad that the guy who wanted to win didn't win. I can handle that as a fan and as a reviewer. But they did good storytelling. AJ kept working Rusev's leg. Well, one of Rusev's legs. So what they did to kind of make it to where Rusev wasn't going to win was he tried to slip the accolade on, and after like the third time of it getting countered, he finally got it on, but he couldn't put it on all the way because he couldn't support himself with that leg. So he only had it half in, and then AJ was able to get out. And then eventually AJ got the win here. Again, not a bad match. Not a good match. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're booking AJ too strong, which is fine. AJ's kind of their big guy right now. He is the guy, because your Raw champion doesn't show up for work, but he shows up at UFC, which to me is, you know, more fake than the WWE. And again, fake is subjective. You know, it's not fake. It's scripted. There's a difference. But we're wrestling fans. We know that. But you gotta at least give the illusion that the other guys could win. The in-ring storytelling with the match was good, which is why I'm not saying it's a bad match. I just never felt like AJ was ever in jeopardy of losing. Which, that doesn't work. You've got to at least give the illusion that the hero can fail. You know, I don't want to go into a wrestling match, you know, where the good guy basically turned on God mode, and it was a good match. It definitely felt overbooked in AJ's favor, which tells me they're setting up some kind of major feud. First I heard it was Samoa Joe, which is what I'm hoping for, because those two had a great rivalry in TNA/Impact, and they can trade wins and titles back and forth a bit. Something WWE has not done in a while is trade titles. Like, a guy wins it, the other guy wins it back, and they go back and forth for a few months building this rivalry until there's finally one final winner. But, I think this was just to sell Rusev Day shirts. That's all. I don't know what they're doing with Rusev, because you could just put the belt on Shinsuke. So I don't think you're putting the U.S. title back on Rusev. I honestly think Rusev should go to Raw and get a Intercontinental title run. Or, I don't know, put Rusev and Aiden English in a proper tag team and put them in the tag team title picture. Do something with Rusev. He's popular. He's hot. Rusev Day is over. It's just... This match was not the best we could see out of either of the two guys. And again, I get it. Not everybody has their A game every single night. I don't expect them to. I'm not self-centered like that, but this just left me wanting more. And I know AJ's better than that, and I know Rusev's better than that, so I gotta go on the booking. Or they weren't given enough time, something was rushed. This just was way too one-sided for my taste. So I already went over the title match, and again, it was funny. And I enjoyed it. It's the IC title match. So that was your pay-per-view. This was a shitty pay-per-view. And again, I said I didn't want to come into these bashing everything all the time. But I gotta be honest, this was not a good pay-per-view. I enjoyed the Raw Tag Team title match, for it was short and the wrong team won. I can handle that, even though it's the stupidest decision to me, because it's different. And different sometimes can be good. I didn't want Team Hell No winning because I don't know what they're doing. Kane's in the middle of a political deal, so it's not like he's going to be around much longer. Daniel Bryan belongs getting a single push. Belongs getting a singles push. I can talk. So, overall, I'd give this pay-per-view a C-, a D+. It wasn't the worst of the worst, but it was probably the worst of this year. We got SummerSlam coming up. We got a lot of good things potentially happening. We don't know what's happening with Randy Orton, Shinsuke, and Jeff Hardy. Not Jarrett. What that'll lead to in SummerSlam. We know something's happening with Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. Not Roman Reigns, thank God. Going into SummerSlam. Braun's a wild card with that Money in the Bank. Hell, he can challenge for any title. I wouldn't mind seeing him freaking wipe the floor with AJ, as much as I like AJ Styles. He is the face that runs the place. But I'd rather him beat Brock. Or Lashley. Or Roman. I always like watching him beat Roman, because it's just great. But we got a lot potentially coming up. There's stuff in the works with the WWE that's in their favor and the positive, which means they have to up their A game if they want this money to come through that they're getting. We have another year or so before Vince steps away to go do the XFL again. Hopefully that succeeds, so we have a break. And we can have some fresh blood or guys with more innovative ideas taking creative control. And again, this might not even be a Vince McMahon failure, but something is wrong in WWE right now. And I like the company. I wouldn't mind working for them at some point, whether on camera or behind the camera. But, dear God, this pay-per-view was not good. That's all I can say. I'm not trying to be negative Nancy. I'm not being a Debbie Downer or a pessimist. There was some good in this pay-per-view. But this was garbage. This was a dumpster fire of a pay-per-view. A shit show, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully SummerSlam redeems everything. I am stoked, though, for Raw and SmackDown this week because of what happened at the pay-per-view. There's potential for some cool stuff to go on. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on the pay-per-view. And Money in the Bank was better. There's not a lot I can really say. The pay-per-view itself was much better than the Extreme Rules. And again, like I think the next time they do a women's Extreme Rules match, now that they've got one out of the way, they can learn from it and do better. It felt really sloppy, but I felt the same way about the first Women's Royal Rumble match because it was the first time doing it. You get jitters, you don't know really what you can do yet, so it's a live and learn situation. So it's not the end of the world. I don't know what the hell they're doing with Asuka, other than failing miserably on that. This really could have a setup for an amazing payday for when she eventually does win the women's title. But all I know is I want to see her in the ring with Ellsworth and just beat the hell out of him. He's a cool guy in real life. Talk to him on Twitter and stuff. He's a cool guy. but he makes a great asshole in the ring, which is talent. So, again, if you're going to say I need to skip a pay-per-view, I can say skip this one, but I do encourage watching it. Again, it's my opinion. It's my opinion. At least watch New Day versus Sanity. Even Corbin versus Balor, despite the dumb roll-up pin, that was worth watching. Braun and Owens was worth watching. And even the Rollins and Ziggler is worth watching. So you got a few matches, if nothing else. But I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. I apologize for not getting a Money in the Bank video out, but, things happen. I hope you're enjoying the other content on the channel here on YouTube, as that's going to keep coming. And I do have another episode of Great Moments and Bad Gimmicks in the work that will be out here before the end of the month of July. And I'm going to try to do at least the monthly pay-per-view review and one or two other podcasts a month, just to keep the wrestling content going. But that's it for me here. I'm Alan V, and in case you haven't heard, I always, and I mean always, have the last word. Peace out. Good night. Thanks for watching, and take it easy.